Internationally known biblical scholar and local South Florida boy, Father Raymond E. Brown, followed up his masterful 2-volume commentary on the Gospel of John with a book entitled The Community of the Beloved Disciple, The Life, Loves, and Hates of an Individual Church in New Testament Times. Readers familiar with the fourth Gospel we call John know only too well how easy it is to misidentify those whom John and his community hate. There is no doubt, my friends, that the gospel called John has been misused for over 1,000 years to justify the horror that is anti-Semitism. If you want a solid scholarly explanation as to why the word Jew or Jews does not belong anywhere in our New Testament, especially the gospel called John, I would invite you to read the Tour de Force by Professor John Elliott of the University of San Francisco, Jesus the Israelite was neither a Jew nor a Christian, on correcting misleading nomenclature. One conclusion biblical scholars correctly draw about the Johannine Jesus group is that it had only recently broken away or been ejected from existing Judean institutions. It had become an entity unto itself, an anti-society, strongly committed to the God of Israel, who is immediately accessible in and through the broker Jesus. The situation the fourth gospel called John reflects is them versus us, or insiders versus outsiders. Keeping this in mind, this Sunday selection from Jesus' prayer at the Last Supper raises this question: for whom and what does Jesus pray when he asks that all may be one? John chapter 17, verses 20 through 26. Lifting up his eyes to sky vault, Jesus prayed, saying, Holy Father, I pray not only for them, but also for those who will believe in me through their word, so that they may all be one, as you, Father, are in me, and I in you, that they also may be in us, that the dominant society, Israel, may believe that you sent me, and I have given them the glory you gave me, so that they may be one, as we are one, I in them and you in me, that they may be brought to perfection as one, that the dominant society may know that you sent me, and that you attach to them even as you attach to me. Father, they are your gift to me. I wish that where I am, they also may be with me, that they may see my glory that you gave me, because you attached to me before the foundation of the dominant society. Righteous Father, the dominant society, Israel, also does not know you, but I know you, and they know that you sent me. I made known to them your name, and I will make it known, that the attachment with which you attach to me may be in them, and I in them. The Johannine Jesus very pointedly prays for the insiders, that is, for his Johannine disciples, and for those who will believe in me through their word. It was also these insiders who received the new commandment, to love one another, or rather to be attached to one another, back in chapter 13, verse 34, the beginning of this farewell dinner. A key element in both passages, however, is that Jesus serves as the model. Disciples ought to stick with one another to the degree that Jesus sticks to those who believe into him, to the point of death. The community of believers in Jesus ought to strive for unity like that which exists between Jesus and the Father, the God of Israel. That the Johannine Jesus prays to the Father for this unity very clearly demonstrates its origins. The unity he desires is not the result of harmonious human interaction or the end product of a human growth and development seminar. No, unity of this kind is a gift that flows down from the Father and Son into believers. It is precisely the organic and vital unity of the Father and Son that Jesus wants to communicate to believers. This sticky in-group glue love is organically vital and a visible reality. People can see it. People from the outside can see it. You know, sometimes community can be a stifling and suffocating experience. Perhaps we individualistically oriented Americans and Western people living in the 21st century are more sensitive to this than people of other cultures. The organic unity of believers ought to be a life-giving experience rather than a death-dealing experience. Community ought to enrich life's meaning rather than suck meaning out of individual life. Moreover, true to the public nature of Mediterranean culture, this life and in-group sticky love of a believing community must be visible to others, especially to the hostile group generically identified in this gospel as ho cosmos, the world, really the dominant society Israel, the Judeans. There ought to be no hiding the light of in-group glue attachment love under a cover or bushel. The Johannine Jesus group must be the loving community. That means it has to stick together. The proper response to this gift of life and unity from Father and Son is mutual attachment love among members of the community. Outsiders will be amazed and moved or motivated by what they see. By this, all the outsiders will know you are my disciples, if you have love, in-group glue attachment for one another. This is not to say that the world, the dominant society Israel, the Judeans, will automatically be converted or resolve to make a positive decision relative to Jesus. Rather, the world, that is, the dominant society Israel, the Judeans, will receive from the Johannine Jesus group what Jesus himself gave, a challenge. A challenge to recognize the God of Israel in Jesus. A challenge to see God's pleasure with Jesus' behavior. A challenge to see God's approving action on the behalf of Jesus in his resurrection. Only such a mighty act of the God of Israel could effectively undo the shame of the crucifixion. Believers like Jesus must keep this challenge ever before non-believers. Father Raymond Brown notes that the seeming hostility of the Johannine Jesus group to other first-century Jesus groups is really only apparent. The Johannine us included other Messianists also, those who did not share the specifics of belief, rather maverick beliefs about Jesus that the Johannine group uniquely held, or their strange anti-language. Brown believed that the Johannine Messianists very likely were more inclusive than one might think at first glance. Some modern Christians, especially since Vatican II, have redoubled their efforts to promote unity among all Christian groups. But others, who have a very negative understanding of the Second Vatican Council, have fought hard to present their brand of Christianity as the one and only, and that all others are at best imperfect Christians, or at worst, heretics who must journey home. My friends, ecumenism is a beautiful thing. It has even encouraged more kindly approaches toward and commitments to not only understanding other Christian traditions, but also even non-Christian religious groups. If today's Christians meet the challenge of the Johannine Jesus Last Supper prayer and its spiritual implications, their ecumenical activities stand a far better chance of bearing fruit.